Hi guys, and welcome to this rather, for me, unusual video. I'm gonna be building a new pedal board, a new sort of master board, and this is just, some of the stuff I'm gonna be using. You always need a good knife and a good strong cup of coffee before you begin an endeavor like this. A lot of these things here, like the Moen pedal bridge over here, or the free-to-tone solderless cable kits, are my first time building these things, so you have to bear with me. But I thought it would be a cool thing just to make a video of how I build my pedal board, what I consider, and I have no idea exactly how this will all end up, but we'll see. In the end, well, I'm gonna do some audio examples of everything as well as I'm programming everything. The first thing we have to do, of course, is build the actual pedal board. So let's start with that after I drain this cup of coffee, of course. See you. Okay, so here we have the Moen pedal bridge. It's a brand new modular board from my endorsers at Moen FX. So, well, let's unbox it and check it out, shall we? Okay, so what we got here are the bars, the actual, bars for the pedals to rest upon. We have a couple of these. And then we have the sides to the board, powder coated ones. As you can see here, I guess this is hence the name pedal bridge. They're made to resemble a bridge of sorts. My brother actually said when he saw this, "Oh, nice ice skate," ice skates. Because when we were kids, you used to put some plastic protection on your skate when you walk to the rink, I mean. So yeah, pretty similar to that as well, actually. So let's pick those out. Here we have a lot of small screws and some small clamps and stuff, and this is for attaching the power supply underneath the board. And these are made to fit majority of power supplies out there. They're all pretty much the same size, So, and then let's go down one layer more. Another one. And here, in the end, we have the pedal bridge. This is for the front, so this is what will be facing your audience, basically when you're on stage. So that's a nice touch, I thought, as well. And yeah, some Velcro for the pedals. I also have this roll here as well in case I run out. So let's put this away. Okay, let me sit down a bit more. Whoa. Okay, sorry for the cut in video there. What actually happened was I knocked over the coffee cup with my foot as I was attempting to reposition myself. So no coffee for me today. I have to make do without. Okay, anyways, let's begin, shall we? Take out some screws. And of course, this is the way it's supposed to be tilted like this, right? So then the actual front should be like here, like this. So let's try that then. So that's one side. So pretty sturdy as it is. It's real lightweight, super sturdy. Then let's fasten just the bottom one here, down here, so we get some even more better stability to it. So even though this is a pretty quick assembly, I won't bore you with actually putting the whole thing together. So with the help of the magic of editing, let's fast forward to the actual finished assembly. Okay, back with the finished board. Looks like this. Underside, sides. So really sturdy and really lightweight also. I guess this is some sort of aluminum or light steel, I'm not sure. It's really light anyway. And on the underside you see these posts where the brackets for the power supplies are supposed to go. These has to be mounted just correctly because to create the correct distance between the posts. If you're like me, you didn't think about this and assembled it all wrong and had to do it all over again. Luckily enough, that wasn't caught on tape, so I blame it all on the lack of caffeine. So a board like this can come in various sizes. This one is 60 times 40, which is a pretty standard size for a pedal board. But of course, if let's say you measured all your pedals, you made a mock-up on the floor and stuff like that with tape or whatever, and you decide, well, okay, I can make do with 40 and the height, but I need like 80 or maybe less. You can just then have different lengths of these instead to create a custom width. And then for the height, you can get these ones or like this one, which is from a smaller model they do, which is made of some super hard acrylic plastic. I'm not sure what the material is exactly, but equally super lightweight and sturdy. And that would be then, free of these high and, same length or smaller if you want to. Okay, so let's look at mounting the actual brackets for the power supply. And of course I have to mount the bracket way up here. I can't mount it down here, even though I could put the boards anywhere I want, because it would hit the ground. Before I actually tighten these, I mean there is some leeway to it here. So what I want to do is I want to mount the power supply first here. And the reason I do this is just I want to make sure, this is one way of doing it. If I want to have easy access to these small knobs on the power supply, this is the new Miso 8 from Moen. These small things here shifts between 9 volts and 12 volts. I think I only have 9 volt pedals on the board right now, so for me it doesn't really matter. But of course, if you turn around, depends on, do I want the Miso 8 to shine through, or do I want the opposite, because looks are important too, right? In the superficial world of pedals, or like this isolated power supply. So that's my two things. However, there is also the concern of inputs versus outputs. Preferably I might want my actual power outputs to be facing that way, and if I'm going to put it that way, I'd rather have the outputs closer to the underside of the board, just for convenient cable drawing. And also then I have the actual power input up here, which I could then put through here, or come from underneath in here and have an angle jack, whatever wherever I think is most appropriate. For me, however, there is also another concern. It's about if I want to use an additional output, if I want that to go out here or on the inside. But for now at least, I only plan to use this power supply on this board. I think it covers all the power needs I have. Maybe not, we'll see. So I'll mount it this way for starters. So, and then I'm just, you know, measuring pretty much where I must tighten the screws, and looks pretty much dead center. So let's see. Okay, like that. Then just tighten it while the power supply is in place. Okay, so back again with the Miso 8. Looks like that. Pedal bridge over there. So now I'm going to put these on. And why, you may ask, do I do this? Well, it's simply because some of the, you know, pedals I have are already equipped with Velcro, and since I don't want to take them on and off all the time, I just put these here to keep that from happening. So now I have to make a decision. I have two of these switching systems. I do know that I want to use a switching system. I'm not just sure which one I want to use. This one, the orange one, has only 4 loops, of which 3 can be activated at the same time, but it has the added benefit of being able to put these loops in any order. So let's say I have a fast phase and a, you know, overdrive. I could change the order of those routing within the actual switching system without having to move the pedals. Really cool idea, I think. And if you're using fewer pedals, like 3 or 4, you might wanna be as diverse as possible with the order of them. So that would be a really cool idea. I think this, for me, would probably go on a slightly smaller board. This is a huge board with a lot of space. So I'm gonna go with the GEC9 instead. The GEC9 has 9 loops, so a lot more, you know, pedals to work with. It doesn't have the, you know, rerouting capabilities, but it's a standard, you know, linear kind of thing. But you could go 1 through 6 or 7 through 6 or whatever you want. And it also has the latch switching thing, which I will want to use for a specific type pedal I have that has several channels and can be switched channels on through the looper. But more on that when we get into the actual functionality of the board. So I would then put this down here. Actually, let me do like this so you can actually see where I'm positioning it on the board. So it's there. It takes up real estate, maybe 2 rows up, and then the cables. So then I have 3 rows to work with, where I could basically see myself using maybe, you know, pedals going like this, and maybe like this. That way this one occupies the top row and a little bit of the next row, and then this one underneath occupies a little bit of that row and more of the other one. That way I get 2 full rows into this board. So that's probably the way I'm going to do it. Instead of, you know, this and then just 1 row on top, I'm going to, you know, make them work together. Also, it has the added benefit of positioning the input jacks of most of the pedals directly over the gap between the bars, so which makes it easier for, you know, putting on patch cables through, and looks nice as well. So I have some space here, so what I probably would do is have the switcher over here with the input, and then put a volume pedal over here. Now I'll only use the volume pedal occasionally, not a lot at all, so depends a little bit on how many pedals I will organize in here. So in that case I just skip it and have it on the floor next to the pedal board. But it's nice to have it on the pedal board, I think, for just the looks of it. I think all pedal boards looks better with a volume pedal for some reason. This one is a bit bulky, I think. Maybe I should have gotten a little small one, I don't know, but that's what I have to work with for now. So, with that said, let me just position out some pedals and think a little while, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so this is what I came up with basically. It's kind of hard, I want a lot of things on this board, so it's kind of a puzzle to fit everything together nicely and think of, how much space do I need to, pull the patch cables between and stuff. But if we just go through it just quickly. First off, here you see the Fishman Aura. This isn't really connected to the board as such at all. But what I'm doing here is from my PRS P22, I'm running the piezo output into this one, and then from this one a DI signal directed to the PA for my acoustic sounds, and this sounds just amazing. It's by far the best sounding acoustic device I've heard that can handle a piezo as well as an acoustic guitar. But we'll demo that later as well. My ideas about that. Then I'm trying to keep it pretty much. My goal is always to try to keep the pedals in the order that they're looped, so to say. So it's easy for me to, okay, that pedal was loop number 1, that was loop number 4, and such. If I want to change things on the fly. So this is the way I always want my compressors first in chain. This is the Moen dual soul compressor, the Tommy the Nunder signature one. This one also has a foot switch, so that means it has 2 modes, 2 identical compressors in one pedal. And I will use the latch switching from loop number 9 to switch channels between this. So this is basically then having 2 pedals in one loop. So I'm sacrificing one loop of the latch switching ones, but gaining 2 pedals. So it's basically no trade-off. It's just instead of having 2 compressors, I have 2 compressors in one pedal. So very nice idea there. And then I'm going through the Shunukina, the Lictique by Shunukina, the MAR, his vintage overdrive, the bestseller he has. Really, really warm overdrive. Then we're going through a Shunukina design Redemptionist pedal, which is more of a high gain overdrive with a bass cut and treble. And this, sometimes with some guitars I might use it for high gain sounds, but mostly these days I use it for lower gain sounds, like semi-clean. Works really well for that because of the flexible treble and bass cut. It can be made to sound good with many pedals. Then of course I have to have my own signature overdrive on there as well. This is also a 2-channel drive. The thought with this pedal was to have it as be able to have it as a standalone pedal. That's why it has the on-off and 2 modes. So you can basically have a 3-channel amp just bringing this pedal alone to any gig. Let me see if I can. Yeah, it's sort of a 3D swirl kind of effect there. Of course, in the pedal board as it's set up here in this version, is you have to choose your mode you want to use. But so I set in 2 modes on it, set them to the same level basically, or one higher than another, and then decide okay, if I want to use it for lead or rhythm or whatever. So I use 2 modes of it, but I just program, and if I want to change between songs, then I have to change the mode switch. Then comes the phaser. I started liking phaser more and more, especially for rhythm sound and some psychedelic kind of stratty sounds with the wah. It sounds really freaky with the wah before it as well. But this phaser is a real nice sounding vintage phaser, and also a model with 2 controls. But what it doesn't have is a real sort of level mix thing. And for some things I like it, for some rhythm songs I want to use a subtle phaser effect, and for some I want to really, if I want to use it for lead I might want more. So I'm connecting this to the One Control Mosquito Blender, which is a parallel blending circuit which is just super transparent, and you can put any type of pedal in this. You could even stack 2 overdrives together on a smaller board if you want to, instead of stacking overdrive, it can get a kind of fuzzy, sound. You could fade in the other overdrive pedal sort of in parallel, and get great tones that way. So I'm gonna connect the phase of this one and just set it to my liking depending on, you know, the venue, the guitars, the amp, whatever I'm playing through. Then on through the Latique MAT, the newest version of his, which is a more high gain pedal. So this, I usually use this for rhythm or lead. And then this a little bit funny looking pedal here is this isn't the original casing. This is a case I got from Shun, just a, you know, clean aluminum casing. Inside here is a pedal called Big Smile, which is a overdrive made by some friends of mine here in Sweden. It's a really great sounding overdrive. What it's meant to do is sort of emulate a Mesa Boogie Mark II lead channel. And it's my friend there, he actually owns one of Peter Green's old Mesa Boogie Mark IIs. And I've tried this pedal on that Mesa Boogie amp and it's dead close. I mean, on any given day I wouldn't know exactly what I'm playing through. So really cool pedal there. This specific one also has a different kind of clipping circuit in one mode that makes it sound like a fuzz on steroids. So it's a pretty cool, versatile pedal to have, not just for if you want to do some old school Mesa Boogie type lead tones, got that one, but also for some fuzz tones. And in a compact board like that, I have to try to find pedals that can do a lot of things like this double channel compressor, like the phase with that one, my own pedal of course, and pedals like this that are versatile, so I can pretty much take any guitar and have a great tone. And then the delay, which I love this delay, the analog delay, one of the best sounding delay I've ever heard in my life. And then the volume pedal. Because of the way these loops are configured here, you have serial loops 1 to 6. Then you have loops that are broken up, which can then you have an output and then input and then the loop in between and output and input. Which means, without getting too technical about it, which means that I can go out from, my plan here is then to have this in loop 7. So loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I go out from loop 7, I go into the volume pedal, I go out of the volume pedal and into loop 8. And then within loop 8 I have this, and then out from loop 8 to the amp. Which means that I have the volume pedal before the delay without sacrificing a loop for putting the volume pedal in. So it's a really genius design of the switching system in that regard. And that's the way only conceivable way I could use a volume pedal, because if I put it on the floor off the loops, I cut off the delay trail as well. If I put it first, if I lower the volume, I lower the gain, I lower the input gain of the whole thing. So if I want to do like lead volume swells, which I really like, that means when I roll off, I roll off the gain as well. But in this way I have the full gain, you know, with the lead tones and the delay trail and everything. It's just beautiful sound. I will try to demo for that for you as well later on. And of course this one. So I've decided that this is the setup I'm gonna use, and now it's all about, you know, actually velcroing all these pedals in place, and then we'll get down to the solderless cables. These are sort of like lava cables but with a fastening screw as well, so really genius design there from Japan. These so I'm gonna show you how I make these as well, so let's check that out. Okay guys, so here is the finished Velcroed pedal board. Still no cables as you can see, but this is, I mean, this is it so far. Underneath with power supply, and then on the other side. And even though the pedal board itself is light, it weighs a hefty lot once you put all the pedals on there. So, but this is the setup as we discussed earlier. So now it's time to make some patch cables. Okay, so here we are with the patch cable setup. There's going to be a lot of patch cables made here. And these, as I said before, are very similar to lava cables in the sense that they, if you can see this picture here, in the sense that it has a center plug that goes into the core of the cable, and then you have the sleeve outside which grounds the cable, and then you have the, but yeah, that's the main difference. You have a screw on the side here, as you can see here, that fastens the cable and not only secures it but also gives you additional grounding. So they are a little bit easier to manage than the lavas, and they do, for me, that changes a lot of pedals around the pedal board. This makes a lot more sense because of the tensile strength of the cable when it's attached with the screw. I had a lot of problems with the lavas plugging them in and out. And so the lava has now come out with the same system but soldered cables, which should be then completely hassle free. But this is what I got now, so this is what I'm going to be using for now. So there's going to be made this small patch cable as an example of how they look. They're very, very clean, very, very smooth, good looking, casings, everything. So that's the cables. So I'm going to be making a ton of these, which I'm not going to bore you with. So basically the next thing you see will be the finished pedal board. And then we're going to do going to be looking at some actual sounds. This, just to show you, is the actual kit. This is the kit with the straight plugs. Let me just show you one of these. Take it apart. You see, this part is very similar to lava or any other design like that, and the fact that you put on a cap like that, but then that you secure it and give extra ground is very similar to old Bill Lawrence cables, which I used sometimes, but they are a lot more difficult to get a hold of for me in Sweden, so this was by far the better choice at this time. So time to make some cables.